but when Dimple and Rajesh Khanna got married, so the female the female following, which was actually very bizarre behind Rajesh Khanna. I mean, we thought that they were really anti Dimple Kapadia because there were lots of things happening against her at that point in time.
The interesting thing is when Rajesh married Dimple, his career was at a low. He had had several flops around that time, and that is why it was important for him to have caused a major sensation, and this marriage happened to be one of them. And after the marriage, he had his first major hit in the second phase, which was Yash Chopra's Daag. After Daag, he revived for a while. So everyone said that Dimple had brought luck for him. And by the time, that craze had started subsiding, and there was also Amitabh emerging post July 1973. After Zanjeer, then one after the other, his films started doing well the next 2 years. But by the time Rajesh married Dimple, I think that craze at its peak was almost over because it was like everything an overdose of it usually has its negative effect on things like it. But he still had a following. Otherwise, he wouldn't have lasted so long, in spite of losing his throne, in spite of losing his banners, which were very loyally supporting him in the initial stages.
Uh, Fading stardom, falling of his marriage, everything at that point,
Yeah.
I mean, together. So, what do you think could be a reason of his failing marriage? Because it was said that once Dimple and him were married, he was a little insecure of the fact that Dimple should go ahead and work in films because there was a long gap before Sagar actually came out with Dimple in it.
Yeah.
So, if you,
No, Sagar didn't happen immediately after that stage. Sagar happened after she had walked out on him. There were two or three films which she had signed and returned the signing amount. One of them was Sadma. There are quite a few films. There's a huge queue to sign her on, but she didn't have the willpower to, continue with it. He used to partly threaten her and things like that. He tried his best to stop her from going back into films. Somehow he felt that she should not go back again to films and she should look after the kids. He's a very traditional guy deep down. He didn't think that she should go and work in films and she should also become a star. There is every possibility that she would have become a big star because when she quit, she was the highest paid actress. She had been signed by some of the biggest banners, but she returned the signing amount and moved out. She and Jaya Bachchan, were the most dominant names at that time. Both of them came almost simultaneously, into Bollywood, and both had different kind of roles. Jaya had more, performance-oriented roles, and whereas Dimple was the glamour queen. And in fact, the films that she left went to Mumtaz and went to Hema Malini, to some of them. And she was quoting a huge price, and she was getting it. But because of the rift, because she walked out on him, she wanted to come back into films. Even then, she was not very sure whether she could, make it, and she was very scared of him because he could be very very aggressive and he could be very vindictive. That's what she felt, and then Ramesh Sippy took a decision to sign her on, and then he could, as a big producer at that time, he was, he was really in a dominant position. It was soon after Sholay and all that, so he could, stick by her and then see to it that she went through with the project.